Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a few things to get through today. First, though, I had one or two emails from yesterday about the Rome quest grades. I did not get to put in the short answer scores yet. So for those of you who sent me frantic emails yesterday saying that I only had X amount of points and I need this and please fix it and so on and so forth. Kraus, you're right back there, pal? It's fine. It's not a security camera. You're okay.
I'm pretty sure it's a security camera.
It's not. It's not. So, folks, real quick. Today, as we go through class, all right, I am actually recording myself teach. Okay, so if you look back there, it's okay. Don't worry.
This is going to be like you're talking to yourself later. It's like Matrix.
Yes, it will be like the Matrix. Yes. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, I want to catch all the people that are shooting spitballs at me. Wesley. All right. Yes, it follows me as I move throughout the room.
Look at things that's actually amazing.
All right.
Oh my god.
That's so cool.
Okay.
Wait,
Now,
you're like a oh yeah.
yes. No, it's just a plant that was implanted in my wrist when I was a child.
That's cool. It's like Matrix.
It is. Yeah. What's with you? Did you watch The Matrix last night?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We do have to get past the novelty of the camera in the back of the room, though, guys. So, a couple of things. All right. The Rome quest grades. I will put in the short answer scores. So, Jakob, I don't know if you saw my email that I sent you back. Mary, likewise. But yes, those will be updated. Okay. So, fear not. What we're going to do today, we have to talk about the research project first, and then I'm going to have you guys work in groups on a Google Doc. But first, we need to get through the research project. So could you please take those out? Remember, I gave them to you yesterday at the end of class.
That's Robin.
Yes, sir. Yes, you may. Is there anyone who wasn't here yesterday to get a copy of the research project? Very good. If you have a highlighter, go ahead and take it out. If you do not, I can lend you one.
Oh, hit up that S rate.
There you go, Mr. Kraus.
Oh no, fumble! I got it.
Okay. Very good.
I have one
All right.
question, just in general.
Sure.
Like, why is the Roman and Greek history more biased than Merinide dynasty? Because wouldn't people have different opinions?
Oh, that's actually a very, very poignant question. Sarah, say it one more time. What's your question?
Like, the empires more biased than people in the Gupta and Chinese empires.
Why are they considered more biased, or why is the history more biased?
Why are they considered more biased? Because wouldn't the Chinese and Indians?
Well,
still have
typically,
opinions?
what you look at when we talk about those regions is that, like, the textbook kind of hits on it too. When you talk about Rome and Greek history, we consider that like our history, like Western, like the origins of Western society. So we tend to glorify a lot of aspects of Rome and Greece, where we don't necessarily take our roots from like the Mauryaans or the Guptas or ancient China or the Far East. So we don't give them as much credit perhaps in our history books as we should, because we see ourselves as originating society-wise from the Greeks and the Romans. So that's what we're looking at. All right, Jakob? Yes, you may, sir. All right, guys, so a couple of things. All right, for the research assignment, at the very top it says you are to write a 2-page paper, 12-point font, Times New Roman, 1-space margins, all right, providing a self-created thesis about the development of Islam. The paper will build on your thesis skills from the first paper and enhance them. Additionally, you will learn and utilize an important new research paper skill, which is how to utilize primary documents. Highlight the last part, how to utilize primary docs. What is your paper going to look like? All right, very similar to what you did for the outline, except now we're just going to be including, obviously, some transitions within the paragraphs and transitions from one to the next. So, first paragraph is your intro. It needs to be brief, okay, 2 sentences with your 3-part thesis. That's old hat now, okay. The 3 body paragraphs about the different features of the regions in regards to how the Islamic world shapes them. Highlight this for me. Stay focused on proving the thesis. stay focused on proving the thesis. And while you're doing that, you need to integrate your sources of research. On the last outline, some people strayed a little too far away from what they said they were setting out to do with the thesis statement, and that hurt them. Okay? So, I'm not going to spend a tremendous amount of time on all this because we talked about it pretty well with the first one. Your thesis, what makes a good thesis, all right, it needs to be precise, focused, contestable. You have to have your 3 main points in there, okay? Just like you guys saw when I graded it, I underlined 1, 2, 3, what you're setting out to prove, okay? So an example that's for you down here on the bottom, Dave Matthews Band, with its great songwriting, 1, brilliant musicianship, 2, and entertaining concerts, 3, is the greatest rock band of all time. Okay, you're putting forth an argument, something that could be debated, all right? Any questions on that, folks? All right, go ahead and flip on over to the next page then. Okay, so the research for your thesis and what you'll be doing to make an outline. It says, find support for your thesis, highlight, using at least 3 sources. Continue highlighting, including at least 1 text source. Now, we talked about this last time. It could be literally a hard copy of the book, or it could be something that's from the Gale Virtual Library. Internet sources, as always, may not be Wikipedia or .coms. You are supposed to use only .edus or .govs. If you think you have found a credible .com site, you need to clear it with me first. Now, one change on here. In addition to the 3 sources, you will refer to not 2, but 1 primary document. It says refer to 2 primary docs. You can cross that out. We're only going to utilize 1 primary document. The primary document?
Well, it says we will refer to it.
So in addition to your 3 sources that you're going to find for your paper on your own, you'll see at the end, we give you 4 primary documents to choose from. So you're going to have to take, yes, so you're going to have to take one of those primary documents and use it throughout your paper.
So that counts as when we find our primary document?
So that is, your 3 sources have to be separate from the primary document.
Okay.
So it's going to be a total of 4 sources minimum.
But you provide us with primary document?
Correct, correct. Okay. Moving on, it says organize your research into an outline, use the format below, but add details and sub-details, okay? Highlight the following here, all right? This will be a brief, phrase-like outline. All right, you do not need to provide me with the full sentences besides your thesis statements or direct quotes, but you must use in-text documentation on your outline. You have to use in-text documentation when you put this together. All right, moving on for step 3. All right, this is actually first. Take a look at the text box that's off to the right-hand side where it says honors and regular. For our class, sorry, Sarah, you will integrate the primary source and analysis of that throughout the course of the paper. This is different from what the regular classes are doing. The regular classes are actually including an additional body paragraph where they're going to compare and contrast, or rather analyze the source there. We want you to analyze and use the source throughout your paper, okay? So just make note of that. How to use the primary source and how to analyze it. We're going to spend a little bit more time with this, guys, next week on Monday. But taking a look at it, you will choose not a set of 2, you will choose a single primary document below to include in your paper. Think of them as evidence to build and support your thesis arguments. You must use direct quotes and paraphrases from the primary documents in the paper. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you something as we talk more about this, these primary source analysis sheets. So it says, see the attached sheets for further advice on reading a primary doc. Like I said, we'll spend more time on that. It says, additionally, you are required to use at least 3 other sources. Highlight that, please, with at least 1 being a text source. So again, you've got 4 sources total. 3 you find on your own. 1 we provide for you. Internet sources, again, nothing from Wikipedia, ask.com. It has to be .edu or .gov. All right. And how do I comment on the point of view, bias, and audience of the primary documents? We'll talk more about that, like I said, next week. Okay. So on the bottom it says, use the primary source analysis sheets provided in class These will be turned in on. I have a calendar that I'll give you guys in a second here. I'm going to ask for your primary source analysis sheet when I collect your rough draft outline. And the outline is going to be due on December 10th. December 10th. The second week we come back from Thanksgiving break. All right, and then flip on over to the next page, guys. Almost there. Step 4, writing the paper and revise, revise, revise. All right, so use the outline to flesh out a full paper. Once your outline's done, your paper's basically done. You need at least 3 direct quotes. At least 3, but no more than 5. That's different than paraphrasing. Direct quotes, you're using the quotations, you're citing it right there. It's literally something you take verbatim. Paraphrasing, you're putting it into your own words. Obviously, make sure you cite any information within it, and then proofread and edit it. There wasn't a whole lot of instances with this class, really not with the honors classes, too much on the last project. But if you hand something in, and I can tell you didn't even take the time to use the spell check and do just a very basic proofread, you're really going to hurt yourself in terms of your grade. Okay? So reading a primary source, again, we'll spend a little more time with this, but I want you guys right now to flip past that page and go to the last one where it says questions to help you create your thesis. And this is what I want you guys to be aware of as we talk about Islam in the next week and a half here. So what you guys are looking to do for this project, you have the list of possible thesis statements, and we've given you some prompts to look at. I would highlight the first one at the top. It says, how did Islamic culture affect a certain region of the Muslim world? And here's what you should understand. Things that we're going to look at in terms of how Islam is going to shape and change the different parts of the world it spreads to. Look at architecture, gender relations, social status, government systems, economics, science, of course. You could either choose 3, so write this down. If you're looking at that one, you could either choose 3, or you would really, really have to develop 1. So for instance, you could say, the spread of Islamic culture to North Africa changed the architecture there by point A, B, and C. And you would provide me 3 very specific points about how architecture is altered with Islam spread to North Africa. Or you could more generally cover 3 of those topics. And perhaps like the spread of Islamic culture to North Africa, forever change their architecture, their gender relations, and economics. So you can either do a little bit more of a broad sweep of 3 of those, or really, really, really develop 1 of them. Vogel, question?
So, say I do like architecture, gender relations, and social status, if I chose it to do it, would do my thesis statements?
Yes. Those.
And then for the body paragraphs, I just say it on it.
Correct. Yeah. So that would be right. That's what you would probably list in your thesis statement, and then you'd have to kind of dive into how that happens in each body paragraph. Wesley. No. So that's just one thing that you can look at. All right, we have other options there that you can look at as well, like how did Islam spread to the different regions that it does? What is the role of women, commerce, or scholars in the Muslim world? All right, there's a number of different things that you guys can look at. But these are things that I want you to kind of be aware of as we start to talk about Islam in the next week and a half. All right, what you're writing the paper on, in one way, shape, or form, is essentially going to be how Islam changes or influences these regions. And so some of the things that you'll be looking at, like gender roles, economics, law, architecture, really just all the different culture traits that you could associate. Okay? And then on the very bottom, it says primary sources. Choose 1. You'll be choosing 1 to include in your paper. And I'll share this with you guys as a Google Doc. Say it again. Could you have more than 1? Yes, you could. Yes, you could. I would start off with 1 and make sure that you can incorporate it into your paper. But if you thought that another one buttressed your argument, then yes, you could do that. Yes? No, you cannot use your textbook as a source. Now, you can use it as a launching point for like what you need to research, but you can't directly cite it. Vogel? Those links actually take you directly to the primary source, correct. So like as you look at the first one, ancient history, ABC Clio. All right, that'll give you a primary document that obviously, like it says, focuses on the Middle East. And then the one below it is going to focus on Egypt, India, West Africa, North Africa. Correct, yeah, and then you've got to weave that into your argument throughout the course of the paper. Do you guys have any questions? Barry?
Does primary source to be for, like, say you do the first basis point, for each grade you have, like, primary source for each, like, argument?
So, say that again. Will you just be using one primary source?
Yeah, but you could use it for each, like, each grade points, you could use the primary source for each point.
Ideally, you would, yes, you'd like to try and touch on either the information from the primary source or the bias of the primary source, and you'd like to try and incorporate that into each of your body paragraphs. Yeah.
So you have to use more than one primary source?
No. You only have to use one, right? But what you'll try to do is incorporate that into each one of your body paragraphs.
So you put it in, wait, what would you do? Would you type it 3 times? Would you talk about it 3 times or what?
Yeah, and you would have to find a different way to, so let's say like your paper was going to focus on architecture, gender relations, and economics. All right, you would have to try and use that primary source and,
Tie with every single one.
yes. Lauren?
What if you, like, with your first primary source, you did everything with it, you integrated it, you directly quoted it, and you paraphrased it and touched every single one? Is you use another primary source but not directly quote it, you can just paraphrase it and then use it in your works cited?
If you're paraphrasing it, you will need to cite it, and then it'd be in your works cited page.
But do we have to use it as a direct quote?
No, you do not. So you're saying if you meet the direct quote for the primary source on the first one,
Yeah.
can you just paraphrase the second one? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And Wesley. Extra credit for this assignment, it's going to be a 100-point paper. So 5 to 10, I've got to take another look. I forget what I did last time. I did 5. It'll be 5 points again this time. 10, Barrick? 10 sounds better. And Vogel?
For Tuesday the 3rd of
Mhm.
December, so was that just for your thesis?
Yes. So if you guys are looking at the different calendar dates, you mind if I look over your shoulder, pal? So obviously assigning today, next Tuesday and Wednesday in class, we'll be working on it here in the room on the Chrome carts. Those are research days. So the idea is then we have Thanksgiving break, we come back, and the Tuesday that we get back, then all I need is your thesis statement. So just like the first time through, just let me know what your 3 points of focus are. All right. Then you have 3-4 more days in the weekend to continue working away on it. Then you have to turn in your outline and the primary source analysis sheet. I'll give those back to you guys, and then you've got the weekend to clean up your paper, incorporate anything I write on the outline, and you can either turn in for extra credit on Monday, and then, of course, the final due date on Wednesday of that week. Kraus.
So the extra credits on Monday for 5 points. But we could Friday the 13th, then the extra credit.
I will not accept it on Friday the 13th.
Oh.
Yeah, see? Friday, no. You guys know Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Yes.
So for the test, it says the outline and primary source sheet, so are those 2 separate things?
Yes, they are. So I'll be giving you guys the primary source analysis sheet on Monday when we talk about that in class a little bit more, and over the course of Tuesday, Wednesday. You'll see, it just basically kind of walks you through how to establish who the author is, who the audience is, where the bias might lay, and that sort of thing. Okay? Any other questions, folks? All right. Well, then you can put those away. Hang on to them. All right? And we're going to move on to discussing a little bit of Islam today. So here's what you're going to need. All right, you are going to be working in the same Google Doc groups that you guys did on the first 2.
Can we work in
I already have you shared in those groups, so I promise I'll mix them up for the next one. Okay. All right. So if you need me to remind you of which group you're in, I can. All right. In fact, I'll do it now. So here's what we're looking at. Group 1 is Kristen, Vogel, Lauren and Mary. Group 2 is Barrick, Metzger, and Jared. Group 3 is Will, Brandon, Kraus, and Munch. Group 4 is Sarah, Jakob, and Connor. Group 5 is Hall, Cole, Aiden, and Klepak. And then group 6 is going to be Lizzie, Emma, Kat, and Britt. So what you'll need to bring with you, your textbook if you have it with you today in class. If not, you can utilize the online textbook. And then the notes that you took over the last 2 days for homework. When you have those things, come on down, grab yourself a Chromebook, and get yourself set up in tables. Get yourself set up in tables with your group members. Make a table?
Yeah.
I'd like you to.
Someone put them in the what I taste
You can borrow one right here.
Oh. Thank you.
Welcome. I shared you on all the groups, so if you want to navigate.
It's a desk.
All right, so go ahead and get signed in, logged on to your names, all right? If you could, for those of you guys that are facing different directions, you could turn your desks inward, make mini tables, and make sure maybe that they're conjoined together a little bit so that you don't drop the Chromebooks in between the spaces. What's broken? Yeah, exactly. All right, folks. So, for what we're looking at today, all right, 136 to 142, the notes that you guys took for homework the other night, focused on pre-Islamic Arabia, all right? Our goal for the day, all right, is to examine the different characteristics of pre-Islamic Arabia. So, we're going to look at the different culture traits, we're going to look at the different gender relations, and basically the different social structures that Arabia has within it prior to Muhammad and prior to the arrival of Islam. Right? So as you take a look through the Google Doc, you'll see some very familiar sequencing. All right? Starting off, you have the map that I've provided of you. It's a topographic map of the Arabian Peninsula. All right? And I've prompted some things that are highlighted, things I'd like you guys to take note of and answer. So starting off, geography dictates history. I have a couple of prompts for you there that I'd like you to respond to. The first thing I have highlighted is a short video on the Rub al-Khali. Geography people, anyone remember the Rub al-Khali? What type of physical feature we got there, Jared? What type of physical feature is the Rub al-Khali? Say it again. Not a plateau. There is a plateau in the Arabian Peninsula, though. Say it again. It's a desert, all right, known as the Empty Quarter. So watch the video on that. Okay. Then, as you guys move through, for the different title headings, whenever you see a page number, that's the section of the book, and that's the title heading. All right? And then I have for you, underneath that, some things I'd like you to do. So, just like the India Google Doc, just like the one that we did earlier in the year, some of these will require you to find a map. Some of these will require you to collaborate with the partners at your desk. All right, what I'd like to get through today, hopefully, is at least the pre-Islamic Arabia portion of the Google Doc, right? And then if we get into the life of Muhammad, great, but if not, that's okay. Wesley? Need permission?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you share it with them and see if that works? And then I'll go back to my computer and do that. So, go ahead, guys. You can get started. If anyone wants a hard copy of a textbook, I do have 1 or 2 more class copies, so let me know.
The uninhabited desert.
We're gonna start off.
Desert zones.
Wesley, did you get it, pal?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Agricultural forest, coastal regions, there was extensive agriculture.
Yes.
The Red Sea.
With the wrong Brit? Oh, sorry. Did you share it with her? Thank you.
What the rest of their it's like
Mr. Robin,
Yes, sir.
we're only working on up to 42, right? For today.
Yeah, what we're focusing on right now is pre-Islamic Arabia. So, yeah, focus on that first, and then we'll get to the life of Muhammad probably on Monday. Wait. Yes, sir. We're trying to work through, so we're trying to get through pre-Islamic Arabia. So the way that it's broken up, the next major section, so to speak, the second part of the notes you guys took was on the life of Muhammad. So we're trying to work all the way through where we get to the life of Muhammad.
Alright, so we're going all the way to... So we still have to do the life.
Say it again.
We still have to do the life.
We will at some point, but probably not today, not with the time that we have. For the picture of the Oasis, please do not put in a picture of the British band Oasis. Looking for a picture of the Ore gas station. That is not the type of Oasis we're looking for. Remember to highlight your answers, guys, when you get done with them.
Wait, there, how did the nomads develop? They didn't develop. Oh, okay. I thought that you were.
Go to the text. You know what I'm doing now? So you can click on either the highlight, and then you get to choose the color that could splash behind it, or you can or you can change the text. It's up to you.
Wait, can we do like the rest stop Oasis?
Say it again.
A rest stop Oasis.
Is that a sincere question?
What?
Is that a sincere question?
Yes.
What would you think?
Yes, because it's like a middle land of the highways.
I think you should really reevaluate your logic there, Mr. Krause.
Mr. Robin, I have a question.
Sure.
Was it the Bedouins that regulated trade from Medina and Mecca?
Well, It's not necessarily that they regulate the trade, but like they are the trade. They are the trade. So like you have these thriving commercial centers, but what makes them thriving commercial centers is the Bedouins going back and forth. They're the go-between. And so it's kind of like, you know, almost like a chicken and egg sort of thing, where you can't really have one without the other. And that's kind of what you're looking at.
They actually think the egg came first.
Do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let you know.
All right.
Let me see the picture. How come we get a picture? We don't get a picture.
Is he set it up?
Just you wait. You'll see my picture in Oasis. The first one that popped up is you.
I gotta tell you, if you're still looking at just the picture of the Oasis, you're not really working as efficiently as you should be.
I'm not looking at the picture of Oasis. My mind's just still with the pictures. As in all the definition.
All right. Doing okay, girls?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Oh my god.
All right.
Great question.
Gentlemen, how we doing back here?
Good. How do you access the text box?
So, yeah. You should
This is, don't know if I know how to get to it, is like go where it says register or do you already
You did register for the first time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Usually what I just do is I Google Pearson My History Lab, and that'll take you to the login for it. But to save some time, you can use that.
Okay.
Doing okay, girls?
Yeah.
Any questions? All right.
Wait, is this your mustache?
Oh wait.
The what?
Wait. Did you write this or is this just something like a bullet point?
That's me. Don't forget to change the font or highlight the responses.
You haven't had it.
Just a few more minutes, guys, and then we're going to talk about what you've been able to get through thus far.
Would that work?
You guys will not be working on this tomorrow in class unless I can find some Chromebooks that are available. They were all checked out. It will be homework, yes.
I mean, for tonight.
Correct. Say it again?
Notes tonight.
No, I'm going to give you guys the break on the notes, but you're going to finish the Google Doc that we're doing here in class. I'll let you know. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Yes, sir.
Does this work for number 2?
How did the struggle for subsistence in the community budget shape? Yeah, I think it might be a little too far to say that they didn't care about anyone else, but it's like
They
you're a
put
lot.
themselves first.
Yes, yeah, they definitely put themselves first, and it's like strength through numbers. I mean, because it's such a unforgiving sort of area, you really have to rely on the different people in your family to kind of help you make ends meet, so to speak, and collectively, get through things.
No, I don't think it's fair.
For the quiz, this one should we have like a, we just write the word, or like should we have like a description?
Are you guys on the?
Oh, we're kind of spreading around. Like I just kind of.
Okay, hold off on this because we're going to talk about the vocab sheet. That's something that we're going to do together in class.
Sure.
So don't worry about the pillars.
Okay.
Just focus on getting through at least the pre-Islamic stuff.
Okay. So that'd be like a top.
You got it.
Okay.
All right, guys, start to finish up the thought that you're working on. All right, and then after you finish that, we're going to talk about some of the things that your group was able to get through and what you're going to need to do tonight for homework.
Yeah, there's only so each use the 15 seconds.
Not the whole thing, don't worry. Not the whole thing? Don't worry. Not the whole thing for homework.
You go to text and then you go to highlight.
Okay. All right, folks. Go ahead and literally finish the last thing you're typing in, and then let's talk about the doc a little bit itself and what I'm going to ask you to do tonight for homework. So, first off, okay, what you need to complete tonight for homework. I'm going to ask you guys to finish all of the pre-Islamic section, right? And then as you move down, you get into the portion that discusses the life of Muhammad and genesis of Islam, all right? I would like you guys to complete that portion, and you will stop at where it says Arabs and Islam on page 144, okay? So you can, yes, if you want, you can write that right there. All right, so you guys are going to finish the portion on the life of Muhammad, and then you're going to stop at where it says Arabs and Islam. And that's what I'm going to ask you to have done tonight for homework, okay? I will check that in for a grade, all right, tomorrow. So that needs to be done, all right? Make sure that you have it taken care of. So, listen up, folks. Going through the first part. Gentlemen in the back, let me have your attention, please. Okay, so for the very first portion, geography dictates history. Listen up, guys. I realize you're trying to plan when you're going to finish this up, and I respect that, but let's go through a couple things up here, okay? So, geography dictating history. What are some of the things we could point to for the geography of the Arabian Peninsula? Which geography is going to influence their development? What were some of the things your group said? Mr. Cole?
Because it was more of a desert, there were more murders, they couldn't like come and stay and settle groups. So it turned into like nomads that went around in small groups.
Okay, very good. One, obviously the Arabian Peninsula, it's primarily going to be made up of desert. You guys watched the video on the Rub al Khali, the largest sand desert in the world. All right, and so one of the things that we will not see, obviously in Arabia, that we got to see in Rome, is going to be the large population size. Okay. What else was something your group pointed to for the way that geography could dictate history here? Lauren?
The coast of the Red Sea was important for trade and agriculture.
Very good. Off the coast of the Red Sea, that's going to open up the ability for trade, all right, as well as agriculture. And this is something that you could look at. Guys, it's not on the map here, but what empire, just got done talking about it, what empire is to the north by northwest of the Arabian Peninsula? The Byzantine Empire. And what major trading city? Literally the midpoint between the Western world and the Eastern world. Constantinople. Okay? Now, we haven't talked as much about the other empire, but we will. All right? This is the Sasanian Empire, which is the former Persian Empire. The Arabian Peninsula, they find themselves right in between two of the richest empires in the world at this time, which is why, in part, Bedouins, all right, for the most part, how do they make a living? Through trade, right, in their caravans. Not like the caravans, Dodge minivans, okay, but the trading groups. Very good. All right. Other things. Going through this, okay. How were the Bedouin nomads in cities of Mecca and Medina kind of dependent upon one another for their success? In biology, you guys learn about it when two organisms have a what type of relationship? Symbiotic relationship, okay? How do they benefit from one another? The cities and the traders. What did your group come up with for this one? The Bedouin nomadic traders and the cities, how do they depend on one another for their success? Mary?
Mecca, Medina depend on Bedouins, sorry, I think that's it, to protect their trade routes and make sure nothing happens to them.
Very good. Sarah, anything else to add?
And the Bedouins are the other ones who know how to survive the harsh environment of the desert.
Yeah, very good. And so without the Bedouins, you don't have the thriving commercial cities. Without the thriving commercial cities, you don't really have the Bedouins. Now, the clans. Okay, what was the general social structure of the clans that made up the Arabian Peninsula before Islam reaches the region? Maybe something from the gentleman in the back, perhaps? What was the makeup of the clans? The social structure of the herders? What did you guys come up with? Crickets, boys? Did you guys get to this one? Okay, you did not. Someone want to bail them out? Kristen?
The councils of elder advisors elected the leaders.
All right, everyone, what's the name? What's the name? Yeah. What is the name of the leader of the clan? What is the name? How do you pronounce it? The elder, the leader of the clan, Sarah? It's a sheikh, okay? Everyone say shai. Say ka. Say sheikh. Okay, so the sheikh is the leader of the clan, right? Now, a couple of things about the social structure and what they're going to be kind of relying on here, all right? How does the struggle for subsistence shape clan life in the Arabian Peninsula? And when we say the struggle for subsistence, what does that mean even? The struggle for subsistence. Mr. Metzger?
They're just trying to like stay alive almost by farming and herding so they can live down like make a profit.
Yeah, very good. You're just trying to get by. Who are the people that had geo last year? Raise your hands again. What's the difference between subsistence agriculture and commercial agriculture? Lex?
Subsistence is you farm for your own self, commercial is you farm for yourself.
Very good. So as we talk about subsistence agriculture or a subsistence level of living, you're just kind of producing enough to get by. All right. Now, this is kind of funny, I suppose. All right. What are some of the examples of exchanges between tribes that could lead to violence and war? What are some of the examples of things that could set off like hundreds of years of clan rivalries? Lizzie?
If they like went into each other's territory, they just shoot them, or like not shoot them, but like kill them.
Okay, so if you're using another clan's resources, all right, that is certainly one. What could be another? Perhaps less linked to survival. Mary?
Oh, less. Oh, sorry. Less links to survival. If I said.
That's okay. What were you going to say?
If like watering places, if I overheard that to happen for their clan.
Okay, very good. Cole?
Do duels occasionally, and then if one side won, like they would get mad because they killed someone in their tribe, and then they would start like a feud.
Okay, good. Sarah?
If their animals like grazed on someone else's pasture.
Okay, so we've got that. All right. What else did they say though? Does it seem kind of like a high school hallway at some point when you went through the reading? What are some other things that could lead to a fight? Brandon? Insulting a warrior. He disrespected me. Okay. And then if someone dies in a battle, how does chivalry kind of lead to an ongoing conflict? And not like the chivalry that we talk about where we're opening doors for girls and things like that, but a different code perhaps. Yes?
Oh, the constantly want revenge for whoever killed. That's what they constantly do.
Yeah, so what's the problem if I were to get into a duel with Barak perhaps, okay? And Barak thwarted me in battle, okay? And Barak killed me. And perhaps Aiden's a member of my tribe. Maybe he's my brother. What is Aiden going to swear to do? Seek revenge. Kill Barak. And then next to Barak, you have Jared, perhaps his brother. What is Jared going to swear to do? Seek revenge. And it's just one long vicious cycle where it's just rivalry after rivalry.
What happens if there's a daughter?
Well, they're not the warriors. But speaking of women, what was the position of women in the clan life?
There's.
Lauren? Go ahead.
They raise their hand then.
All right, Sarah.
They had more freedom and power in they had more influence in the government and stuff.
Very good. Okay. Kraus, one last thing.
Wait, what was that?
For number 2, I'll come back to you in a second to talk about it. Guys, could you come put your Chromebooks back away? Thanks. If you borrowed a copy of the textbook, please make sure you bring that up front, please.
So tonight we're just.
Tonight you are completing the Google Doc up through the life of Muhammad. And then once you put the Chromebooks away, gather your things and you can head off to class. Or lunch, if you're lucky.
All ruined and scratched up for the star.
Or link crew.
I feel bad for you. The first special class, the second semester just drags on.